Welcome to the Wits and Crits podcast, episode 3 with Ilya from Quill.
Welcome to the podcast, Ilya.
Thank you. Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're kind of always in here, though.
It is true.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about a very hot topic today. Are you? I know we already talked about, but like, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So we're going to talk about using artificial intelligence and AI in D&D and how that kind of affects everybody else, just to kind of frame this podcast. I know it's a hot topic right now. Get back in here. So anybody watching this, we've actually known each other for, how long have we known each other?
5 years?
5 years? Yeah. And we've been hanging out and we keep doing more and more projects together. And well, anyways, I'll let you discuss your creation and what you've made.
Okay. So when it goes back to a long time ago in a place far away where we were playing at a table and Tab was the dungeon master. And apparently at some point my character got a potion and lots of shit was happening. Things were flying around. And I took a quick note of this potion in my notebook, and 2 weeks or 2 sessions later, I looked in my notebook, and what I wrote down was the potion of whatever it was. And I'm like, shit. Can we say shit?
You can say,
okay.
You can drop no slurs. That's where I draw the line with the podcast. All right.
Okay. I had no idea what this potion was. Nobody could remember what this potion was. So, canonically, we don't know what happened, but that got me thinking, because in a business setting, right, there's all these AI agents that would record your meetings and print out meeting notes for you, which is fine. And they kind of work for a D&D session. But it doesn't really know what you're doing or understand what you're doing. So I thought, okay, well, what if we transcribe the audio from our D&D session and fed it the transcription through an AI, but the AI actually knew that this is a D&D session. Here's the characters. Here's the backstory. It could reference notes, from the last session or from 5 sessions ago. That's kind of how Quill was born. That was kind of the starting ambers for that project.
Got you. So Quill. So when you made Quill, your thought process, and I'm just saying this, wasn't to take away from other creators. It was just to take notes and make it easier to track the campaign in totality, just for the campaign.
Exactly.
Right.
For the players, for the dungeon master, we go back to that village and we ask the dungeon master, we want to go talk to that smith. And I remember he was talking to us about that item, and the DM's like, I don't fucking know. I made this guy up,
right?
Bob, up on the spot. And with Quill, what it does is it kind of figures out the entities through your session and items and places, and almost makes like Wikipedia entry style articles about them. And every time you encounter that character or that place or that learn something new about that item, it'll update those entries.
Right. So and tell them how also it starts. So you have to upload kind of a intro, right?
Yeah. So the best way would be for everybody around the table to say, hi, I'm playing, Bob, and he's the barbarian, and describe him a little bit, because that kind of primes the transcription engine with that player's voice. So later on, when you're just, in the conversation talking, it actually knows who said what.
Right. So if you're a note taker or you have a note taker in your campaign, maybe not as useful as when we were playing in our campaign, this became extremely useful because now we can actually search, because you can do a search in it, correct? So none of us like to note take. And I feel like sometimes if you're a note taker, you get caught taking a note while something else is going on and it pulls you out. Now that's not for everybody. I'm just kind of generalizing, but for me, and I think our group as an experience, we didn't really like to take notes. We wanted someone to be there to take notes, but none of us were good note takers because we would get lost basically if we had to go head down for a few minutes and kind of write everything out. Because as you know, as a dungeon master, I play pretty fast. I don't like to over track your arrows and your encumbrances and all the other little crunchy details that you might have. So when we started using Quill, one of the things I really liked was I could always log into it, because I've been using Quill since we started. How long? 2 years now, I think.
Almost 2, yeah.
Yeah, we're coming up on almost 2 years of using Quill, and I've really enjoyed it. And I know might be a plug for the podcast. We'll get to other stuff later, but it's been I don't know how I can not play without it, especially when I need to go back. I don't have to wait or bother somebody to give me their notes or take pictures and send it to me or any of that. I can just at my own will just log in and get it. And as it stands right now, it's free up to a certain amount, correct?
Yeah, it's it's in beta, so there's not a lot of users. But I'm giving like 4 hours to people to test it, give feedback, which is like super nice to get any kind of feedback and see how it can be improved. The one other cool thing it does is, since it puts all of these entries into like a wiki articles, not only are those wiki articles searchable, but you could also ask it like natural language questions. It has like a little pilot. I'm not going to say the first word next to it, where you can say, what were the shops in this village, and it'll be able to go through the history and just answer that question. And it doesn't really, it's not there, and this is probably getting into more what I want to talk about in a little bit, but it doesn't really generate content. It organizes the existing mythology of your campaign, in a way that is searchable. And like, in our group where this potion of whatever it was happened, we're all older players. We all had careers and kids stuff, and the 5th and the 8th thing, and somebody once asked me, how do you win in D&D? And I said, when everybody shows up.
Yeah.
That's how you win.
Yeah.
So like when we had our sessions, it wasn't, every other day or whatever. It was like, we could finally meet and play. And it's been, 6 weeks since the last session. And it's like, what happened?
Yeah. Twice a month was a good month for us to get together and play. And I think that's what you hear from a lot of people that are deep into that middle-age funk, quote unquote, is, your work, kids, family, you have so many other priorities. And so this just kind of alleviates those. Now, going back to what you said, it only makes, content and organizes content based on what's said. I think a few times it has either hallucinated, but it's been something that's been like spoken over the table. So like all of a sudden,
dog.
we'll talk of, because we're gathering together. It's a casual game. We're not doing a live stream or anything, but it'll be the dog comes on the table, be like, hey, what's up? Zeus, what's up, buddy? And it'll actually put that in there.
Yeah, Zeus is a character canonically now.
Or we'll talk about a food or like pizza from the pizza place and be like, oh, this pizza's so good. And it'll be like, hey, they eat pizza in here, blah, blah, blah. But I think with that problem is if you use something like what you've created, which I think is very useful, just like anybody, you should probably review the notes anyways, because you are going to review the notes. And if you see something weird like that, it's not like you're going to put it in there and make it canon. Or you do, and it's just a goofy little thing because we're playing a nice table game, right? Now, how did you get around it not hallucinating or stepping over those boundaries in AI? I know we're going to get probably a little bit into kind of the tech talk now, and because I don't know technically how to set up AI the way you have to make and design things for you. So what was that process like?
It was tough. So when Questquill, like the initial early alpha version, it wasn't like a website or anything. It was just this little thing running on my laptop. I think the model it was using was GPT 3.5, which is like a really not a very powerful model. So it needed a lot of prompt engineering, and also it couldn't process a lot of the data at once. That was another big issue. Like if you fed it paragraphs and paragraphs, it would just mess up. So it was a very iterative approach where it would take this transcript and like break it into chunks, but then not just like chunks where it would take the first 5,000 words and the next 5,000 words and so on. It would take like what I call events, things that happen in the game, and for each event it would kind of summarize, here's what happened. So it creates this almost like event log. Cracker Jack shows up, we rolled initiative, Bob rolled a 5, and it also captures not only the mechanics but also the role play, what people said in character versus out character. And that was kind of tough too, is figuring out what is said over the table and under the table. And as the OpenAI model improved and they gave access to better and better models, that process also got a lot cleaner. So it's a lot better at not serving pizza at the Orc Village anymore.
What's the difference between, like, I was a QA analyst for a while, but the only thing I really got into was more the database side, and it was more of like using a POS system. So it was very different than using like some developer software, right? So explain it to me the best you can. But is you developing what you're doing through AI, is it more telling it, or is there something behind the scenes, like you're having to use code to develop it? Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So OpenAI and a lot of other AI providers, it's not like a plug for any one particular provider, right? This goes across all providers. They not only give you an access like on your phone or in computer, but they also have what's called APIs, application programming interfaces, where you can write your own app and interface with their engine to give it data.
You're good, buddy.
Then you can interface your program to give the API data. It'll process your request and return back your results. And in terms of cost and processing power required to run a model, it's way more economical to make those calls to a provider and have it run on their system versus hosting your own model. And there's models available where you can like download them and run them completely disconnected from the internet on your computer. But they're small, so they're not very accurate, and they're slow. And your electricity bill is going to be pretty high.
So how, with that and going deep into developing something that uses AI, how scared are you with AI in the future? Are you one of the people that's, and it can be on a spectrum, like, are you scared that AI is going to be overly invasive, maybe into the point where it seems almost destructive for humans? Or are you more on the side of it's going to be extremely helpful to us and we should just keep pushing kind of the boundary as far as we can? Like, where on that spectrum do you think after such a big project? I know it's a D&D project, but
I think I'm on the I think it'll be transformative. I think there's going to be whole industries that are going to be wiped out. So I think things like paralegal work, things like medical, the tier 1 medical stuff, things like truck driving, entry level jobs, those types of things are going to get hit hard.
But don't you think that with those jobs, instead of it being 5 people doing a job, it's the AI doing a dozen of those jobs at once, or however many, and it's one person kind of watching and making sure that quality is still coming through? Because AI, I don't know how far in the future we are from AI not hallucinating and not getting things
think
right. So
not very far off.
Got you. So not very far off, but do you think there needs to be somebody behind the camera, behind the computer, that's watching and making sure there's still checks and balances? Or do you think we're so close to the point now where you probably won't even need that?
I think in 10 years you won't.
10 years.
Yeah, I doubt. And it's tough. Like these whole industries are going to disappear, and it's going to affect so many lives negatively. But it's also going to provide a lot of positive as well. So it's not, things that used to take a long time to produce are now going to be instantaneous. Things that required a very specialized set of skills are now going to be democratized, where anybody can, like get legal advice or write a will, or that stuff is like currently being done. This is not like sci-fi stuff.
Oh yeah, I've made and we're about to do, I don't know if you know this, I'm about to do a third LLC here soon for another side project that I've been recently talking about for the past couple weeks. And we use AI for it, and then we just upload everything from that to what we need to do for the state, right? So you don't have to have all these adjuncts and other kind of middleman people. It really cuts out that. And that part's nice because it saves money. But let's talk about the real part. And let me set it up this way, because I think this is where we're going to get to anyway. So I'm just going to cut right to the point. I think we're seeing a lot of AI, and this is where people get mad. It's over influencing the creative realm, where I feel like, and this is what I wish I could see, but I know it's not going to happen. I wish I could see AI do more of those mundane jobs, kind of like what you're talking about. And I know people have those jobs, and maybe mundane's not the right word, but I want to continue with my point. It's invasive to the creative realm, where I think when I thought of AI, it would get rid of those jobs that were in those industries. And so that way I could have a job that would be more creative, and you could do more art and have more creation, because AI is going to handle all the other, desk work, desk jockey jobs and other that. So, but that's not what's happening. In fact, it's everywhere now. It's on both sides. And so with what we do and how we create stuff in here with Dungeons and Dragons, one of the biggest things, and I talk about this, and I myself, I walk a fine line. I get really close because I use AI, because I'm one man and I have family and a job, multiple jobs and companies I have to run, and I'm always hustling, right? So I have to use AI to help me organize so that I can better create, right? And I think that's what your tool is doing. But do you get what I mean by
100%.
how I wish the creative jobs and the creator jobs could be untouched. Artists, music, whatever, in those jobs, and it only does the mundane jobs, but that's not what's happening. In fact, it's pretty even, I think, across the board with how it's going through all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's tough because, like, on one point, what it's doing is it's taking the system itself, and by system I mean not like open AI or um Claude or whatever, not a specific piece of software, but like this concept of generative AI. What this is doing is these models are trained on the creative output of people, and then it's like tier 2 providing some level of, I'm going to put air quotes around this, creativity to people that are not, either because of time or lack of skills or whatever other reason. It's giving them the ability to kind of create these things that they kind of have in their head that they want to bring either write a story, or, oh my gosh, in schools, don't even get me going about AI in schools and essays, but like, you know what I mean, like it's giving people access to those skills that they may not possess because either of time or just not knowing how to do it. But it's also not giving them like something new or something fresh. You know what I mean? It's kind of like regurgitated creativity that's almost like sucked out of people that spent their whole lives, right, learning and writing and producing art or papers or stories or novels.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, on one side it's given the layperson access to something that elite few had. And I'm not making this like a class thing, but that it's giving them that access. But on the other hand, it's devaluing the work of people in that field.
Yep. So like you said, like novels, I think that if you have, because I have a book in my head and I've had it for years, I've just never gone through the process. But let's say you're writing a book, right? And you want to take that book and you just want to regurgitate everything out. But then hiring somebody to go about editing it, organizing it, and even spending money on like an agent or publishers and all that, whenever you can just make your story, have it edited and paragraphed out for you, I think there is a community where that is a big no-no, because they know that the people that they've dealt with and the people that are in the industry, that takes away their job. But if it's your first time writing one of those and you just want to write a novel and just put it out as an ebook, I think for me, depending on your situation, if you are not a super wealthy person, you don't have a lot of means, then it's okay, right? But I don't think it's okay if you're asking it questions like, well, chapter 1 was about this, what should chapter 2 be about? Then it gets a little weird, right? Because it's not, and it takes away, it's one word, genuine. We want a genuine human experience. And at first AI was really rough. Like you'd read it and I'd be like, it's so chipper and like happy.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
And just there's no grittiness to the writing, and now it's near indistinguishable. I can't tell, and that's a really hard part, because a person can tell you all day they're not using AI and write or create some kind of masterpiece, music, novel, or art, And man, the art you can kind of tell, right? But the other ones, music, you might be able to tell if you got the ear for it. But man, writing, ooh, that's a really hard one now.
Yeah, but let me challenge you. Can it really be a masterpiece if it's AI?
I mean, yes, I think that is a really great question, because AI could make a real masterpiece, right? It could.
I don't know.
And when I say could, maybe not now, but down the road, right? Because in your words, and we're 10 years away, right?
Without supervision, but I don't think, I don't know, and maybe this is me being naive, but my take on it is that it can't create something that's high, that's, you know, higher than the sum of the parts. So like it has you know, Shakespeare and Dickens and modern writers and all of this knowledge,
Right.
and it can use all that to produce something new, but it's never going to be better than that baseline. It's going to be just a remix,
So,
in my opinion.
so one word for that: originality. So we're not going to see that originality, because when Charles Dickens wrote a book or Shakespeare came out with a play, I mean, take even Macbeth, for example, it was huge. And people now, how many times have we seen, you know, a remake of Macbeth just done as a Western, as a sci-fi, as a, you know, put whatever genre you want on it, or even just mix matching parts. But to play on that, name something that isn't
A derivative. Yeah, that's a
right.
good point.
Originality is so hard to find. And here's the thing: if it is original, sometimes it's still not good. That's true. You could have a very original idea that's not even, you know, way out in left field. It's on the other side of the world, and it's so original, so unique, but it doesn't line up. It doesn't connect to somebody when you make that. Dubstep is a great example. When dubstep really came out, the whoa, 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 you know, all the wubby sounds. Some people loved it. They thought it was super original, but really it's still just electronic music, and they're just adjusting their boards to kind of dial in the sounds. This is very simplistic, obviously, what I'm saying, but everything is derived from something, right? I mean, any of our stories that we like, it's usually Tolkien or George Lucas, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And so when I think of a story, I pull from those. I pull from the Matrix a lot. I love the Matrix films. I really pull from a lot of anime as well. So if AI is pulling from those to make something, but then people are doing it too, it's a really interesting thought, isn't it?
It is.
Because we do the same thing in a way, but it's not genuine. It's like going to Mars with drones. We landed on Mars, but we didn't really land on Mars. So it's how you get to that creative narrative. I think that's when that genuine originality kind of, there's just little parts, and maybe it's in the imperfections, right? But I think when people see, read, or listen to something that somebody's made and they connect with it compared to AI, it's not a person, but they feel like I've connected with that person because I understand that person. Maybe that's why, because you can't connect to AI. There's nothing there, you know, it's code, it's emptiness. So is that maybe why? I know we're getting into a deeper philosophical talk about it.
I don't think that's it. Because I think you can make connection with all sorts of things, right? It doesn't have to be a person to make a genuine connection.
Right.
You know, I just think, I don't know. I guess I'm still not convinced that the output from the AI, and it's not just about originality. I don't know. Maybe I put more value on something produced by a biological brain versus a giant data model.
Same.
you know.
I think that's kind of what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
I think you wrapped that up a little bit better for sure. But there's something there that maybe it won't be an entire novel because going through that many pages, but let's say it was just like a 2-page short story, right? And so would that AI create something that was, worthy enough of being called, the original question, a masterpiece? Maybe. I mean, it's possible.
I'm not saying it won't be good, entertaining, fun to read.
Right.
Sure, but I don't think it's genuine, what you said.
So maybe something has to, with masterpiece, maybe we look at that word and we say, you need to be masterful at making it. And when somebody has done the work to make that is masterful at that, to make a masterpiece, maybe that's why we connect so well with it.
It's funny. This is a discussion that people were having in like 1805-ish, right?
I'm not familiar.
Because I'm probably getting my dates completely wrong. But I think it was in the early 1800s. So people would make a cloth by using these looms and all this stuff. And people were very skilled at making beautiful colors and patterns and things like that. And in the early or mid 1800s, they came up with a programmable loom. And basically it was a machine that you could it was mechanical. It wasn't a computer or anything, but through a series of levers and things like that, and how the different pegs were set and the strings that were used, it could produce this cloth at like hundreds and hundreds times faster than any human can.
Right.
And a whole industry, like in a decade, was gone, completely disappeared, basically overnight. A whole industry, and people were like burning down factories.
Oh my god!
They were rioting because like these machines, and they were having around a table, minus the cameras and internet, but they were having probably the same discussion, like the cloth that's produced by a human versus the cloth that's produced by the programmable loom. What's the difference? Can one be a masterpiece and one can't? Very similar discussion, and that industry went away. And then new industries were born. People had time and resources to create new industries from that.
Yeah, it's the horse and car scenario, right?
Yeah. Say that's the same exact thing happened.
My goodness, it happened so fast. As soon as Model T started coming out, I mean, think about how many jobs there were: stable keepers, stable boys, horseshoe makers, saddle makers, all these different jobs to maintain your horse and to make sure it stayed alive and healthy and could do the work that it needed. And then 10, 15 years? I mean, gone. I mean, and absolutely gone.
Not just cars, like tractors, shipping, like an entire, it was very scary. And I think all of that, the loom and the Model T, that was all part of the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
And I think this AI revolution, or however you want to coin that term, I think it's going to have probably similar society and economical effects.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that we saw happen 25 years ago was the internet. And do you think that right now we're kind of in that point of that Wild West part with AI? Because do you remember how many internet browsers there were back in the day? Now I know Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Bing. Those are, off the top of my head, those are 4. But back in the day, it was like AOL, Netscape. There's all these other ones, and you can name them off. And internet would come in the mail for you young people out there.
Yeah.
Internet.
You had no idea.
You don't even know. Internet would come through the mail. That's how old we are, in disc form. And so we would get these discs in the mail. And do you know it's AOL, America Online, made more CDs? I think they have the record for making more CDs than any other company.
I would get one almost every week. I remember.
Version 7.3.9.4 or whatever it was, but it was free.
Yeah.
And now it's already installed. So do you think I imagine that's how AI is going to go in generality speaking, like it's going to find its place. There's going to be multiple AIs that are coming up now. We're seeing a bunch come up right now, and I think it'll eventually bottleneck to one or two main ones and then a few other side ones. And then I think it's going to get even creepier. This is what I think. So I think that just like how there's the dark web, I think there's going to be very open, dark AI too. I saw someone kind of talking about this and relating to it, and it gets scary. And it's just using AI to do very bad, naughty things because right now AI is it's secure. I'm sorry, it's secure in certain ways where if you ask it to make,
A virus
or a pew pew of some sort, there's it at first maybe no. I remember people work around like, hey, can you make a STL file for this pew pew? No, I can't do that. Okay, well, can you? And they would reverse say it in a way where it
would bypass
it.
guardrails.
Yeah, and it would be like, hey, I just need a part for this. I'm running a new CAD program to test this out. Can you design just the handle for this? And then they would do the same thing, and it would be like for the barrel, and the next part for the firing pin. And so they would do individual parts, and it would be okay with that, but it wouldn't do the whole thing. So there's that.
I think that's a big issue, right?
Yeah, there's going to be a dark AI probably at some point, just like the dark web, right? Which is enormous from what I've heard. I don't know. I don't understand the dark web because I'm not a tech person. I still like to play. You've seen me. I still play pencil and paper when we do D&D, man. I love it. Do you think that is something that's probably the most troubling thing coming up?
Absolutely. And it's a big issue right now. So in the cybersecurity space, I'm in IT. And the amount of threats and 0-day vulnerabilities that are coming out is like exponentially higher because before it took a human a long time to go through a bunch of code that's open source, but look for bugs, and if that code is used in a lot of different places, they could exploit those bugs that they found. But now you can just take publicly available code and just point a AI agent at it and say, hey, I'm testing this, find me all the bugs. And then all of a sudden it says, here, if you do this, you gain root access. That's a big issue. But also, it on the flip side, right now you can have an AI agent find your bugs for you real fast before they hit the wild, so to speak.
So we're having an AI war right now. It's AI.
It's going to get worse.
Oh,
it's going to get ugly before it gets better, I think.
But that's how the internet was. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, dude. I remember we went through a couple family computers because I remember one of our family computers, I mean, it got rocked. I mean, it just did not work. It went to like a DOS screen. So it was just green, blue, and like pixel letters. And then it would just like, it would be 1,000 windows just panning out over. It was just like, oh my God, what did you do? I don't know. What's LimeWire? I don't know. LimeWire, Napster, all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah,
man. You had to be. You didn't even have to be sneaky about it. You would just name it a song. Somebody would click download, and you're done.
You're done.
Your computer's cooked. They have all your information. But
well, I think I think a big difference between like the internet becoming popular and spreading and AI is that the internet was more of a communication tool, where it was more like a new road that you could travel. It wasn't the AI is really something different entirely. It's not a method of communicating or a way to share information. It's it's more transformative, I think, where it's going to like really I think it's going to disrupt a lot of industries.
Well, can I ask this? I don't know how much of the history you know about AI. Do you know a lot of like how it started and stuff?
Well, not a ton, but
okay.
I can.
Well, let me ask the question. Did it start out like how did they just all of a sudden get it? Because 5 years ago, bro, like not anywhere. Like
Yeah.
what did they find like the singularity? I don't know how to phrase that in
no,
a sense.
But I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
At
exactly.
what point did it click that it could do this to turn on, or was there? What was the breakthrough with it? Do you know?
It was generative models. And
generative models. Okay.
So when we say AI, 99% of what people mean when they say AI is generative models. So either image or now it's video or text. Everybody knows you can, even in Chrome, right? You go find me some question, and then the first thing that comes up is, the Google's bot answering your question for you. That's generative AI, and those are huge language models. And I'm not an expert. I don't know exactly how they work, but my understanding is it builds this massive linked almost like a database between words and concepts, and it's a prediction model. It predicts if this text is provided, what kind of text it should return. It's just a prediction model,
right?
It just happens to have billions and billions and billions of nodes that it works through, so it's very good at predicting answers.
So that generative models, I think that goes into what we're kind of talking about. It's pulling from other sources to make what you want it to do, correct?
Yeah.
So in D&D, when I want to make a character and use a character art, which before we go any further, just so we don't get any hate, when we make our character models for our shows and stuff, we pay somebody. And I love supporting the creators out here. But when I have one, this is where I walk a thin line, and I'll admit it. When I have an image or just a quick, hey, look at this is kind of what it looks like. The money that can go to spend to every single image that I want to show you guys to build an immersive world that you're in, I use AI images, and it's for something that is 1 minute or less. That's kind of where I cut it off, right? Because I want you guys to see it. Oh, that's really cool. And then we progress through, and 99% of the time, you'll never see it again. But when we make our characters, I think like what we talked about earlier, having that masterfulness where they get to make that masterpiece and something genuine, I love seeing that. And we hired a very pleasant young lady to do a lot of our artwork in here already. And I hope to hire her again. I still want to go through her. But yeah, that's where we kind of walk the lines. But so when I make those images, let's say I want, hey, I'm making a potion of invisibility. I want it to be a bulb beaker bottle with a very distressed cork, and I want there to be little bits of flamey glitter kind of bouncing around on the inside of it, and a little bit of wispy smoke. And I just want to show you guys, hey, you found this bottle. This is what the bottle looks like. I pop it up for you guys. This is what it looks like. Oh, that's cool. And then that's the only time you'll use it. In your opinion, am I crossing a line by using those 1 minute clips of?
I don't think so.
And people would argue against it all day because we are trying to build something here that would generate a small bit of revenue. We're very deep in the hole. If we ever get out of the hole and make enough money, I'd be so happy. But no, and it's fine. I'm not complaining. This is absolutely a passion project. I love doing this. But wherever I can save money, so I can put in for lighting and cameras and all the other stuff that goes into the studio. But
I don't think that's.
If I was playing devil's advocate and I just said, well, it's just plagiarism. They're obviously they're using generative AI to plagiarize that image. They're taking other people's artwork that I put in that work to make that, and you're putting it up even for that 1 minute. I mean, that's a point, right?
I see their point, but I don't know. I'm not convinced there's something, morally bad with that. With a caveat, I think if you make money off that, of that AI generated piece, that argument becomes a lot stronger, right? Where you are making money off of a work that basically used other people's talents is what it boils down to. So yeah, I think, but you could also say like coding, right? I use Copilot in coding all the time, like and there's a whole even a whole shoot the word, it's like cozy coding, or somebody's gonna know what I'm talking about. Where you're just basically coding by telling AI to code it, and you just keep telling it to change and add things and stuff like that. And then you could sell it. And yeah, I don't necessarily think that's morally wrong. Which I probably should think about this more deeply, because like, what's the difference between a piece of software and a potion bottle picture? They're both creative works. They're different media, obviously, but
maybe that's just kind of where we're at right now with AI, is where do we draw lines at?
Yeah, there's got to be a line drawn, though, I think.
Yeah. But we haven't made a dime. We set up Patreons and stuff, and my goal is, if this ever took off, I would definitely have someone part-time or full-time staff to do our artwork.
Oh, absolutely.
No doubts about it. I would love to be able to do that, but I don't let it, and you can know this, with the stories that I write, there's no way. Like, I don't use AI. What I do is, and I've explained this once or twice already, I vomit out anywhere from half a page to 5 pages. I don't stop typing, because that's just how my brain goes. I run through, no spacing. I don't go back and spell check. I just keep going. Hey, AI, without creating anything, please organize, edit, and, make sure I don't use words that seem redundant. Please use the source to create words that seem a little bit different, because I don't want to sound repetitive when I talk, because I know I do that when I type.
Oh, okay. Well, here's a question for you. What's your take on using AI to brainstorm ideas? Because I've done that when I made a couple of one shots. I'm like, okay, I know I want a trap or a puzzle in this room, but I'm kind of having a mental block. Like, what's some ideas? And I won't use exactly what I would tell like AI, give me 10 interesting puzzles that the characters could go through. And I would kind of read through them and get my creative juices flowing, and then maybe use parts of one or something. What's your feeling on that?
So that's my next question I asked. We're tracking great. So no, it's perfect, because then after I get all those notes, if I feel like I'm missing something, I don't find myself not being able to throw what I know in, because after you've been dungeon mastering deeply for a while, you just kind of know what to throw at players, and you get that improvisation down. So what I ask is, hey, do you have any feedback? Do I have any holes or gaps that are very obvious? And if there's anything that it creates, I throw it away. What I'm looking for is if there's a travel sequence, and it might bring up like, you don't really have any encounters here for this 2 days of travel. Did you want me to make you any encounters? I don't have it make encounters for me. Instead, I bring up my own encounters, because the first thing I want to think of is like, yeah, they're going to find a creature. There might be a cavern, a weird lake with a water weird in it or something, or just a group of bandits. I have a multitude of classic D&D things I can throw in. But I always think back, like, or I might even ask, because I've already bought these books. I have a bunch of D&D books already that I've bought. Hey, is there a good puzzle or a good character or a good NPC or a good scenario, whatever you want to say, in Curse of Strahd, in the yawning portal, that might fit into this area, or that's I really don't even use the NPCs. I should backtrack with that. I use it more for, is there an interesting scenario or puzzle from those books that I've already purchased, that I've already supported? I'm rolling my eyes a little bit because I'm just trying to explain, right? But where I could bring those same elements in, because let's face it, those books, the D&D books that come out, I am one person making it, right? And that's fine. That's most dungeon masters. They're either running a module, which I really suggest new dungeon masters doing, or if you've been dungeon mastering pretty regularly for a good 2-3 years, maybe less if you've been dungeon mastering multiple times a week, you know what to put into those scenarios. So what I always ask is, sometimes I just want to know, like, hey, is there an interesting scenario out of those books? 9 out of 10 times it doesn't give me anything I can use, but 1 out of 10 times it will pull something out of those books where I'm just like, ooh, that's really interesting. And I'll get inspired and I'll twist that, kind of like we were talking earlier.
Mhm.
I'm getting it. It's using generative AI with specificity. And I know where it's pulling from because I ask about specific books, right? And I can go back and check, and it's something I've already purchased.
Well, at that point, it's a search engine that's you're just interacting with.
Right, but it's so much faster than me opening a
Mhm.
book.
Mm-hmm. But that's different, I think, right? That's different.
I don't use it to create stories. I specifically, when I use prompts, or if I vomit stuff out and I reread everything, if there's something in there that looks weird or sounds weird, I take it out because it doesn't feel right for me, because I'm like, that's not what I wanted to happen. But I don't use AI like that usually. I ask it in a way where, if it was me and a bunch of designers making a new module, like the new Ravenloft that come out, it wasn't one guy sitting there making it. And I don't have a lot of dungeon masters, and I don't have a lot of time either to sit with a bunch of people over the phone or in a round table and help design my campaign, because that's kind of selfish. Hey guys, come on over. I need you guys to help me design my campaign. You can't ruin it for the players. You can't sit there with the players and be like, hey, would this work for the campaign? That ruins it. So to have the ability to kind of bounce off a few things, at least getting the verbiage and the writing down, because I'm not the best at remembering lines, but if I can have it written out, I'm a pretty decent writer. And to just have that editor just to make it better so my players enjoy it more, so that things become clarified when we are playing and I'm not missing saying anything, or maybe I accidentally put the wrong NPC for that spot. I've been using this NPC for you guys the whole time, but then for whatever reason, I misput the NPC in this area. AI might edit that and be like, did you mean this person instead? And then I go back and read it. Oh, I did mean that person. Thank you, AI. Thanks for helping me make sure I have, good notes for the session.
It's Barnacle Bill. Who was that guy?
Barnaby. I'm Captain Barnaby. Yeah. I miss Captain Barnaby. But yeah, that's how I use AI. The only thing that I think where I really push and maybe even cross the line is with AI art, because I want to give my players the experience, and I'm an awful artist, and I just can't afford making. I can't spend hundreds of dollars every month. I wish I could, man. I so wish. That's probably my biggest wish, is that if we really could get big enough, is I could really employ somebody to have the ability to make all the really cool art in the way I envision my story, because I have the thoughts and creativity up here. I can write it out, get a little bit of editing, but I can't draw it. I can't make you guys see what I see up here. So that's where I think I crossed the line, and I admit to that. I will.
Yeah, I don't know if that's where I would put the line. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not convinced I know where the line is. Like,
right. It's weird that we're still discovering that. Yeah. But you're go back to Quest Quill. You make it generates.
Yeah, It does generate an image.
Does, right?
Yeah. So for every session, it kind of creates a banner or a hero image. And by hero, I don't mean the characters. I mean more of like, the big image on top of the page that has all your notes from that session. And I try really hard in the prompt generation for the image generator, because it's actually kind of funny. So there's an AI bot or agent that's like taking the session notes and generating an image prompt for an image AI. But I try to keep characters out of it for two reasons. First, it never gets it right. The players have, and I don't care how good.
It never gets it right.
No, I don't care how good an AI art generator gets. It's never going to match the self image a person has of their character in their mind. It's never. Like, you can sit there and describe your character to a T, and it's going to be really tough for somebody to render that in a way that's going to resonate with that player and saying, yes, this is what I envision my character to be. It very rarely happens. And second place, I wanted it to be more focused on like the location. Like, this session we were going through, a chasm, and there was like a train, and there was like boulders rolling, and or not a train, like a cart, and bridges collapsing and all this stuff happening. And the image is going to be focused on not so much the characters. There won't be really characters in there, but it might show a cavern and a railroad with like a broken thing and a cart or whatever. And it kind of gives you, that kind of reminds me of that session, the location, the atmosphere, things like that. I keep sticking my hand right here. This is terrible.
You're fine, buddy.
You're going to have to cut this out.
I will not cut this out. This is in there forever. If you guys are listening, we got a new podcast set up, and we have the cameras next to us looking at us, and Ilya just can't help himself to just touch that camera. Closer to the mic. What are you doing? I'm sorry.
Anyways, yeah. So that's how I use the image generation.
Got you. So it's the only other thing I can really think of with how I might go about using AI is sometimes, and this is more for house games. I don't experience this because I already have my notes written out and I already have my shops prepped, which is fine. Here's the thing: if you want to run an entire house game made in AI and everyone at the table, including the dungeon master, is having a blast, I don't care, because the main point of Dungeons and Dragons is, are you guys getting together and having fun, right? If an entire campaign is made via AI, I don't care if you're having fun with that at your leisure. That's a good take. Yeah.
Sure.
But when we're doing our actual lives and our plays, I don't let it be invasive with the writing and the creation with that. I sit sometimes for hours, man, just trying to fill in gaps. But what I do is I have it make, in the moment, shopping lists, because shopping days, you go to a major town, you got your apothecary, your blacksmith, your magic scroll maker, list all the places where you can go. Hey, is there a place where I can buy this? And the first thing players do every time when they get into one of these shops is, what's the most expensive, rarest thing you have? And can I steal it, Dungeon Master? That happens every time. It never fails.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never done that.
You played a thief. Yes, you do. And you got up to what, level 13 thief? You were a slippery little shit. Like, no sleight of hand skill.
No sleight of hand
acrobatics were insane.
I could.
You were a grease man, 100%. But I have it make a table, and I say, in 5e and 5.5e, can you make out normal price things that you find at a blacksmith with their pricing based on the player's handbook and Dungeon Master's guide? That's really easy, right?
Mhm.
And I've used those tables that I've taken. Yet again, I've already bought the books. This is just, it's helping me just get it into the computer faster without me having to waste time typing. I take, same thing. I'll already have these made, but I'll do the same thing. Hey, apothecary, I want 2 rare potions, but all the other potions make uncommon and common, right? And have them priced out. I want, about 7 of each one in that store. Have them priced out according to 5e and 5.5e. Yet again, it's in the book, so you can look it up online, and it would take me, a few more minutes to do that. But then it takes, time to type that all out. And if I have to make every single store and shopping experience, I can just use AI, and it just makes that copy paste.
Yeah, but that's a
And I'm reviewing it, and I'm reviewing it though. I'm not putting anything out there to use in my campaign that I don't review, that doesn't look familiar as an experienced dungeon master. Yes, all those prices look good. All those potions look good. Everything looks good. Cool. Right into my session notes.
Yeah, I think that's okay, and I would distinguish that kind of use of AI as more of a, like, you're using it for some mechanics. You're not really using it to tell a story or to, I don't know how to say this.
Create narrative.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The store and what happens with the store and the store shop person and the
no, that happens at the table.
All that stuff is still I hate using this word again, genuine, right? It's still,
no, it's a great word for what we're trying to discuss.
You might not know what is at the store until the players ask, "Oh, what's this stall?" Well, you never thought I was going to go. We're in a market street. There's hundreds of stalls.
It's Gertrude's grape stall. I'm Gertrude. How you doing today? It's just like, your name's Gertrude. It sure is. And that's me on the fly improvising. I would do the same thing at the table, right? And then you'd be like, well, what do you do on your days off, Gertrude? I like to go down into the mud pits and roll around a little bit, get all muddy and whatnot. I heard it's good for the skin. My skin needs some help nowadays, getting older. And that's just me off the rip, just,
Yeah, that's different than like the mechanical aspects of, what's there. And as a DM, I would imagine, like, for cool, important items that you want to slip into a shop, what those items are, and you put them in there when you're ready for us to discover them.
Yeah. I might ask it to look up, like, hey, I want to know in the player's hand or the dungeon master's guide, what are like the top 5 rarest swords that are distinctive swords, not swords that are not just, a +3 or, whatever. And it might help bottleneck, those selections for me. If I already have the source material, instead of having to go through each page, oh, there's a sword, it does divide it up, but it's just, I'm already at the computer. I'm already there. And yet I still see people online
get really, really upset about that.
Because it's pulling that information and putting it in there, and it's influencing how you create the story. But my thought process is, I already had the idea. I'm just trying to get my facts straight.
But it's no different. Like back in the day, well, I shouldn't say back in the day, but before like generative AI and stuff, there were dozens of websites for like dwarf name generators, district generator. Peggy. Like every single person and their uncle had random name generators, random skill generators, all sorts of tools.
Yeah, or I've used Don John before, which is a great site. If like all of a sudden last minute it's like, hey, do you guys want to get together and just play a one shot? Oh shit, yeah, I can dungeon master that. Let me go to Don John. It'll you put in certain specifications, or however many specifications you want. You can put in almost no specifications, click, and then it generates a dungeon for you.
Yeah, and that's not using AI. in the sense of generative AI. That's an algorithm. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because I mechanically don't know, but I'm assuming it's not. It's.
I'm guessing it's not. It's been around for a while. I don't think it is.
I think it's using just the JavaScript or a backend server script, and it does it really well. But like at one point, do you say, okay, this tool's okay, but asking generative AI to do it, why is that then not okay?
But when it comes to like the battle maps and town maps, I use Incarnate. I love Incarnate.
That's a creative thing.
It is creative. Yeah. I don't know where they pull. I imagine all those are individually made by the designers at Incarnate, but you can implement your own, and then people can actually post their own maps on there, which they'll tell you this is not open to use, or hey, free to use, go for it, we don't care, which is really nice. And I think, this brings up something cool. Do you think the future with generative AI might be that because so much gets uploaded now, will there be just a switch that either allows or doesn't allow AI to use that in their generative models? That might be a great
It's already happening.
Okay.
Yeah, it's already happened. There's already tags that you can put on your server website that will ask AI agents not to use the content. But it's kind of there's no law against it. It's just kind of a industry thing, and I doubt every single AI trainer bot out there is not honoring those bot files.
So if well, that's the thing though. Like, so how do you? There's just no way to like fully stop it, right? It's just going to be like that.
I think it needs regulation. Like I think there, I don't necessarily think the industry can come to regulate itself. That typically doesn't work, in my opinion, very well. And I don't want to get political, but I think there needs to be some sort of regulation that says, okay, if content is AI generated, it needs to have a little stamp or some token, whether it's electronic, like a code that you can read, or visual that says this is AI. Because you got the deep fake videos, and that stuff is going to be so hard to you think it's bad now, in a couple of years it's going to be impossible to tell.
Yeah, you see some really awful stories with deep fake videos, because you can just upload a person's face and it might be a person that you should not be making a deep fake video of. I won't get too much into it, but man, it's horrifying, because I know I have two very young children, and I am super freaked out. I don't plan, and I know they've done this, I think in Australia, like until they're 16, I don't plan on them ever being on social media.
Social media ban, yeah.
It's we have a private family album that we have to send. It's a 2-step system where people can come in and see our kids' pictures, and it's just strictly for family. And it's scary. And I'm a little, maybe back in the day, I would be more scared of like someone tracking my kids and then using my kids to do some kind of human trafficking with later on, one of those creepos. Now I'm more scared of just the deep fake videos and using my kids' faces or images on things that shouldn't be used. That's what scares me.
There's a lot of stories where there was a lot of self-harm because the person's picture was used in such a way, and it was like a cyberbullying situation too.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I do like to be like, I upload my face pic and I'll be like, can you put me on like 1989 Arnold Schwarzenegger's body just to see what I'd look like? And it's just this this rich version of me. And I'm just like, never going to happen. But at least I know what it looked like. I'm being funny right now. Obviously, I'm being facetious, but that is something that's just fun to do. That's the other side of the spectrum, is you can do really funny things like that with it. I think AI has the potential to be the most funny, because some of the videos that are made now, I've never laughed harder at some of the things that AI has made. And it's either because of the imperfections that it makes through those videos, or it's the fact that somebody has thought of this, and it goes back to, I have to use a generative model because I'm not, a top tier multi-million dollar, CGI editor at some big company. But man, if I can get AI to make it and they plug it in just right with the prompt and you get this hilarious video, it goes viral. That's funny. I like the Bigfoot videos.
Yeah, but you're at that point, you are telling a story and you're using AI as a tool to like almost like visualize it. So I don't know. I think it's going to hurt a lot of people, but economically, industry wise, but it also democratizes that process where somebody without that skill can tell their story in a medium that they don't really know how to work in.
Yeah. So with the new project that we're doing, Wits and Crits, we use AI as our note taker to build this somewhat of a Wikipedia page to keep up with our content, because we're invested with watching. I'm invested trying to make sure I'm interjecting at the right spots as a dungeon master and not saying, oh, sorry guys, let me write that down. I don't like doing that. And I know especially old school dungeon masters more so would probably be like, you should just write that down. Just write it down. Just write it down, And I've gotten replies like that too online, kind of talking about the same thing.
I have an attention deficit of like an ant. Like it's very easy for me to.
It's okay, bud. I still like you.
Yeah, feelings mutual. What was I saying?
Classic you. No, but
I like remembering names.
Oh my God, I've actually, in my many decades of being alive, I've never met someone that's so awful with not just names, but names of just specific items. Like, you'll do the game like, press the thing. What's the thing? The thing, it's round. I've never had a friend like that before. And I love you as a friend, but man,
it must be frustrating.
There'll be 100 key. I'll have a whole keyboard, and you'll be like, just press the button, and I'll be like, there's 100 buttons in front of me.
You got to press the right one. That's the key.
But that's the thing. I would ask you, hey, what button do I press? And you would just like, just press the button. And I'll be like, how is that the answer? You've done that. No, it's fine. My flaw is I get frustrated. I get fluctuated. I get so frustrated.
Oh no.
I do. I have frustration issues. That's probably my biggest thing. And I get impatient with things.
Well, let's circle back to the new project and AI use. Yeah, so for note taking, right?
So for note taking, we use Request Quill. For music, we buy the licensing for all the songs that we have. So we don't use any AI generated music. For most of our character art, our overlays, we just got a new overlay. We paid a guy that we found on Fiverr to do it. And so I feel like, and then for my writing, everything's created offhand, and I use AI to edit and bullet point. I always say, like, can you bullet point this out, edit it in order, make sure no words are redundant. Am I missing any holes where the story has any big gaps that aren't being filled, in your opinion? And that's it. And I just want it to find gaps for me. I don't like it to actually find creative moments so much, unless I'm directly asking it from specific resources. But besides that, we don't really use AI, and I think any diminutive or uncreative or non-genuine, non-original ways. Do you think we're overusing it in any ways that?
No, I don't think so. I think it's very reasonable for the use cases that we apply it to.
Yeah.
I think like it would be cool if like there was a app that as you were talking, as you were playing, like it would pick up keywords and just bring up like the player's handbook information at a glance that's kind of just sitting to the side. those kind of tools, obviously that would be using AI too.
Mhm.
And then I don't know if that such a thing exists or not. Maybe that's a QuestQuill 2.0 thing.
I think for now that's just gaining experience as a dungeon master. At least for me, my experiences with 5e and 5.5, that's just what I kind of grew into. That's just my generation of D&D, right? I played 3.5 a couple times. It's really crunchy. I didn't like the first time I played D&D, and it was with 3.5, but I come to find out that dungeon master was just kind of a pain in the ass. But I think we're okay. I know when we release this, we're still gonna get some flack. I can just
for any kind of AI,
any kind of touching of AI, even saying what we've already said and supporting creators the best that we can with what means that we have. One thing I do want to ask, and we're going to get away from AI. I want to talk about like us as players. So I want to talk about you being a player.
Okay.
I want to give you some really cool, like you do really good at every time that we've been played at the table. You've always played your characters really well, and true to character, and it comes off as very genuine, even if you're not. And I do the same thing. I'm not a professional voice actor. We all do our best. But I always thought that you were a great player, even when we first started, when we first did that D&D campaign, 2.5, 3 years ago, whenever it was. And we were playing through the Sword Coast, which I really enjoyed.
That was a great campaign.
I really enjoy the Sword Coast because it feels more like a classic setting, and that's what you guys asked, and that's what I wanted to do. You wanted to play a classic Dungeons and Dragons. We want to have dungeons. We want to have dragons, and I feel like we did that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to give you props. I thought you did really good as a thiefy rogue named Silk. And then when we played in here, when we were doing another show called Mythfits before the Mythbusters opened up a podcast and they called it Mythfits. No hate, just jealous, I guess. I'm frustrated. Very frustrating. But no, it's been a pleasure with you as a player and as a partner in this getting all this together, even though we bumped heads a few times. Nothing major. But like I thought we worked together really well at the table, off the table, and it's been really fun. You jump in and you play your characters exactly how you imagine them, and you don't hold back, and you're not afraid to interject as your character or like kill a poor goat that need to be killed because you wanted to sacrifice something at the day spa. You killed a goat at a day spa.
In my defense, there happened to be a goat at the day spa that was available.
Everybody was like, that was a good day spa. I'm glad we did that. You're just like, we should probably sacrifice it. And I was like, why? But to put it into perspective, you were an evil, chaotic, evil paladin at the time.
Yep.
And you were serving under a grandiose lich lord, and he needed sacrifices. So,
and the goat was available.
The goat was there. Hey, you played a thief so well, man. I really miss that character, your rogue character, and you're about to play another class. Have you ever played that class? Can I say it, or should we save it?
Well, let's leave it in clouded in mystery for now.
Okay. Well, for now, let's just say, have you ever played anything besides a paladin and rogue in D&D?
Yes, I played but only in like one shots. Nothing on a serious higher level character. And I'm really excited to play this character because just the kind of shenanigans that they can get.
It's freedom,
into.
man. Yeah,
because like the paladin was great, but he was more stoic and more reserved and had purpose.
Yeah, you have oaths as paladins, so you kind of have to stick to that the whole time. Yeah.
And even though my paladin, their goddess was kind of destroyed, I still had this set core of things that I was trying to follow. With this character, I'm excited because they're going to be much more open to causing you heartache and headaches. So I'm excited.
I'm used to it. I mean, anytime. I mean, if you, oh my God, if you have, and I'll just list out, if you have a rogue, a bard, a barbarian, and a warlock in a party, I mean, it's just off the rails from there. Like, there's no,
What could possibly
everything could go wrong, and everything. No, I'm saying that completely wrong. Let's back up. Everything will go right in the wrong way.
That's right.
And there's nothing you can do except have some just grin and bear it, because it's just those classes. I don't know what it is. Do you ever feel like with the charisma based classes, and I know barbarian's not a charisma based class, but like the bard, I mean the rogue kind of is. The rogue's more dex, but you can dump into charisma a little bit and you get expertise, and it always seems like people put the expertise into those charisma things. I always feel like they just do more naughty things. It just seems like, compared to somebody that's more wisdom based, that's like a druid or a cleric, you just don't see a druid or a cleric getting into more naughtiness.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I would love to see people step out of their skins and do that, though. But do you think that their abilities hold them back for that, because they know that they're not going to roll very high with it? So maybe they're just playing more of a min-max game at that point, and not playing.
Could be. I don't know. I tend to focus more on like the role play of the character, and not so much making the choices that give me the best stats or best possible like action economy and things like that. I tend to be like, boy, it would be really cool if my rogue had like a +3 in sleight of hand at level 13. But literally, he was awful.
He was awful at sleight of hands.
But I had like a +15 or something insane for acrobatics. So
yeah, you were slippery.
And it was fun, like being that like assassin ninja type character that I wasn't a thief. I was more of intelligence gathering type of character.
Have you only played 5th edition and higher?
No, I did one shot with Pathfinder, which is I think 3.5 ish.
Well, Pathfinder's its own.
It is, but that's where it branched off.
Okay, gotcha. I see what you're saying. I'm sorry.
And a very, very long time ago, I dabbled in an earlier edition. I don't even remember what it was at the point at that time.
Do you like 5th edition though?
I do. I like 2024 as well.
I like it because and here's where this is another hot take. Oh, we're doubling up.
High take?
We're doubling up on hot takes right now. So this is where I find, and maybe it's a lot of the old heads
piss off multiple audiences.
Hey, as long as they watch, I'm pretty happy. It's better than the 12 people that usually watch, you know what I mean? No,
let's go.
Let's go. If it's all hate, then it's all love on my part, no, but for real,
I would love to hear other opinions, right?
I would love to hear their opinions. I'd love to talk to and debate, because I really haven't played too much of the other editions to actually dungeon master them comfortably. I could if I studied up, but I always like to play a few times just to get the feel. There's kind of like, there's a process to everything. I know it's the same process, but there's other roles and other kind of things. I want to go through that. But
so what's your hot take?
My hot take is, I think 5th edition is the most popular edition that's ever been made for D&D because of its openness and the extremes. And maybe that's kind of a big word, but I'm going to go with it. It leaves extremes on the table and off the table in the right way. So, as an example, from what I've heard, playing other editions are more crunchy. It's mathematical, and that math tends to bring more realism for game. I like, and it's part of the younger generation that's coming up, role play and story, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm right there with you. That's what I enjoy.
That's what I enjoy too, because I've always loved writing and stories and fantastical stuff. I know some people like to know the stats and playing it, but I think with 5e, the great thing is that you hear people that say 5e might be a burden, or even I've seen on my comments, it's a cancer, and you cannot tell a good story with 5e. I've seen that, and I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like we had a great story a few times.
But why?
I don't know. I don't ask behind. I don't ask behind that, but I imagine it's because people. And here's the thing: if you're sitting down and you're having fun, I'm glad you're playing whatever edition that you're playing. For me, I love 5th edition and 5.5. There are things I do take out. I don't like the definitive DCs, any kind of checks that are made for like hiding and becoming invisible. I think you have to roll at least a 15 to get those. I think it completely depends on whatever scenario and area that you're in and the cover that you're near. And there's multiple factors. And as any good dungeon master, you should probably try calculating that in your head, right? It shouldn't be just a hard 15 or you fail. I don't like that, because if you're in tall grass, it's probably only a 10, right? If you have grass up to almost your shoulders and you go to hide while a caravan drives by,
you don't need to be a stealth master to accomplish that.
Dunking down in the grass, just roll me a 10, Okay, when you dunk down, they rolled like, let's say, a 5. When you went to duck down, you accidentally stepped in a quail's nest, and now the mother quail is flapping all around you, giving your exposure. That's the part I like, is I can adjust to that. That's fine with me. I like 5e because it gives the opportunity it's given so much opportunity for new players, and especially new dungeon masters that have wanted to jump in. I can attest to this because that happened to me. I did not like 3.5 when I played it. If I go back and play 3.5, I would love it probably. It'd probably be great. I just had a really shitty DM that wanted to track everything except the story. And the story was just bad.
But especially
but the group like that. Right? All the people, they like that. They like the math and all the numbers, and that's fine. I mean, you have to do all the numbers too when we play. But I like 5th edition best. 5.5, I'm finding out maybe I don't like it as much because they've actually, like I talked about, they've kind of hard set some things I really don't agree with. I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I don't know if I like a starting feat. I know the feats that you start out with, the origin feats, are pretty low blow. They're not, over the top or anything. But I think if you're starting as a level 1 character, maybe having a feat isn't the thing that you get right off the bat. And I know they kind of bounce out that you can't get the other ones till 4th level, but things like that I don't like. So in 5.5, I don't like that. I really liked in 5th edition, even though their classes were broken, I think, the overall what you could do in homebrew inside of 5th edition, and I should really just get specific with that, what I could do with the framework of 5e, and after playing, maybe only like a dozen times, I was like, oh, I can start writing now and bringing that into 5th edition because it was so comfortable, at least for me. This is a very personalized opinion. It was so easy for me to jump in and start dungeon mastering and making my own stories. Because I've had people that I've talked with on the podcast, and I've had people in here or on video, and they start bringing up like all these stories and like from the Sword Coast or Plains or Dark Sun. I almost don't know any of those stories, and the Plains and all the other side stories. I've almost totally done my own homebrew with the framework of the rules. And maybe there's a better edition to do that with, but man, 5e has made it really easy to implement my own stories, so my players get to play into that. That's what I've really enjoyed about 5th edition, is I never got into all the side stories. I've never gone through more than a few like side one shot or pieces of Curse of Strahd or the Candlekeep Mysteries. I've never really gone through a bunch of those books, and honestly, when I go through them, I don't know why it just doesn't stick up here. It's like spells; they don't stick up here. But when I come up with a story up here in my mind, it sticks so well, and I really love it being able to express that at the table. But I don't see myself going back in other editions to do that. I just keep moving forward, which in the future I get really worried about what the next real edition of D&D is.
Do you think if the trend is simplification, right? Because that seemed kind of what the trend has been. Simplifying the rules and stuff.
A little bit, yeah.
Do you think when there's more crunchy rules and more kind of out of those rules arise unique situations where some of the story is an emergent story, not a story that the DM is telling, but more a story of luck and chance that kind of just emerges from the mechanics of the gameplay?
Oh, 100%. Because it all comes down to dice rolls. Your dice is how the universe in that story realm kind of defines what's happening in your story, whether it's going to happen, it kind of happens. Because I do a gradient, I do a spectrum of pass and fail. One being very cataclysmic, and I drop some shit on you guys, and then in that 20, I give you guys big rewards. But I stay in my realm. I think what happens is if it's too crunchy, and maybe this is my own fear, and I would love to play an older edition. If anybody's out there and wants to invite me, even if it's for like a live play on TikTok, invite me. I'll sit down. I'll be more than happy. I can't find anybody to actually play the old editions with, even at the game stores here. It's 5 or 5.5. So that's one reason I just haven't gotten around to play it. But back to your question, I don't think it holds back or gives anything more other than it affects the universe of the dice roll and how that implements it into the story. And it makes me wary, and I'm probably overstepping, but if something's more crunchy and you have more numbers to it, doesn't that give more opportunity to min-max and kind of play into the mathematical effects of that and how that affects your rolls, rather than having less of that and playing more into the story and your role play? Because if you're doing a really good job role playing something as your character, I reward you. If you do something like you make a performance check and you stand up and you start dancing and singing, roll with advantage, bro. Because you're having fun, and I reward the fun at the table, compared to something that might be more mathematical and crunchy. Where do I have enough intelligence and all? You're adding multiple things together, and yet again, I don't remember or know enough.
Yeah, I don't
have a strong
remember
opinion
at all the rules.
I just know I hear
versions.
hard opinions talking about the editions that I play about when I love the editions I play, But I invite anybody to let me come and play at any time. Seriously, I would love. We should that actually might be something fun for us to do, is learn how to play an old edition.
Just the first edition.
Yeah. Well, DM
The
Thomas,
original.
the first podcast guest we had on here, he's taking first edition stories and maps and NPCs, and he's playing it in 5th edition.
That's awesome.
I was like, yes, that's where you cross the line in the best way ever, because you're taking the things that those are the things you loved. You don't love doing the math and the game mechanics so much as you love the story. If you're the person that does love the mathematics of that, I say play probably 40 Warhammer, because that's a game you're probably going to love a little bit more. But when we sit down and get to make a story, I think for me, that's the more important part. I hope you've seen that when I've done.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm right there with you. I agree 100%. I'm all about the story, the role play, the interaction between characters. And
what have you noticed anything different? Because I I always ask, and like, let's be real. Be real with me. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. I know you've had other dungeon masters. You've cheated on me a few times. It's fine.
We don't talk about that, I thought.
As long as you don't touch my dice. No, I'm just kidding. As a dungeon master, I've never really asked any of my players playing, like, what is it that you guys have liked so much about me being a dungeon master? I'm not trying to blow smoke up my own ass.
Yeah, you're putting me on the spot.
I know, but like, what is it that kept you coming back to my table for years and years? You know what I mean? Because
let's rephrase that.
Here. Let me set this up.
Okay, set this up.
I'm really hard on myself when I write for you guys. I'm not joking. I sweat bullets like 20 minutes before we do, even if it's an actual live or even our home game. I'm nervous because I don't know if what I'm going to bring to the table is something you guys like. And it seems like almost every time you guys are like, oh, that was great. And I'm like, and I was just like, man, there were some moments where 80% of what I have written down, I was like, fuck that. It's like it didn't fit into what you guys were doing. And I just improvised. And so anyways, what keeps you coming back to the table to play D&D with me compared to like finding another dungeon master?
Oh man,
I know. I'm not.
You're really putting me on the spot here.
If you want to say negative things, because I've never really had anybody to like interview that's been a long-term player with me. So I was just,
well, you know, I think it's your improvisational skills, honestly, to no matter what kind of shit we as players decide to do. I know there's something interesting that's going to happen, and it is going to tie in with the story. And even one shots don't feel like they're on a rails. It feel the experience feels like we're discovering it together, even though I know, like, you have a plan and there's things that are going to happen that we don't know about. We're going there, but yeah, it's just the discovery of the story, I guess, and you as a storyteller.
Yeah. Well, you're a good player. You don't fully derail. You might run along the train for a while as it's going by, and then but you'll jump back on eventually. You know what I mean? But it's been a good partnership with us. I feel like you've been a great player. So,
oh, thank you. Yeah, you've been an awesome DM and also player, because you know, sometimes we have a guest DM, and having you play and participate in the shenanigans as a fellow player is also very fun.
Yeah, I think part of it is I like dungeon mastering too. Here's a guilty pleasure. I'm kind of an attention whore when it comes to like playing at least D&D. I love being. Don't you look at me like that? Stop. And so when we sit down to play and I'm a player, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely jump in and I steal a lot of moments, but I just want to play so bad.
You know, you're always trying to prevent the world from collapsing with us idiots running through your villages.
Unless we're playing a 2-year evil campaign, which happened. Mythwits. No, it's this thing. I love dungeon mastering because I like being. It's not so much a control freak. I just like. I get to talk to you guys the whole time. I love talking to you guys and just making sure we're having fun. I'm an event planner too, so it's just in me that like we're setting it up right. We're having fun. We're having fun. We're having fun. You know, we'll be having fun. And so, even though I punish you guys sometimes, I've killed a few players. That look. I don't think I've killed you. Have I killed you before?
You came close.
I came
a
close
few times.
a few times.
A few times.
My combats I do not hold back on those combats, though, do I?
No, you make the combats. They're not very long.
Yeah.
But they are tough.
Yeah, there may be 4 rounds, but oh my god,
you're pulling out
you drop a cantrip in the first round.
You're done. That's it.
Oh god, you fucked up. You better have something big going on. And I expect you guys to use planning as you go through it too. I love to hear when you guys plan. That's one thing I really love.
And if we take too long to plan, that's it. Tabster here, he doesn't pull punches in terms of keeping track of that. You've got what it is, 6 seconds per real time.
Yeah.
So if we're taking too long, it's like,
I don't do the meta. I don't allow a lot of meta at the table. I like you guys to stay in character. You guys can say your thoughts and stuff. And when we're doing more casual, a little bit. But man, when we're at the table and playing, I don't allow the meta gaming. I think that's where I'm kind of strict at. I do hard, heavy combat, hard burst combat, because it's usually maybe 3 to 4 rounds, maybe 5 or I don't even know if we've even gone 6 rounds, maybe once or twice for like a big boss fight, But yeah, that's just how I think it should go.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crazy thing about me being a dungeon master. I really never played a lot. Isn't that weird to think of? Or at least for me, is like I've played so little and I've dungeon mastered so much. I just go with how it feels in the moment. So yeah. Do you ever think about dungeon mastering sometimes? Do you ever get that itch?
I do. I enjoy writing stories and stuff. But I find myself like, I don't know, crippling anxiety about the shit the players are going to do, and me not being able to improvise on the spot, because like it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's really tough. Like even in a one shot, like how do you get them to, unless like you literally just drop them at the beginning of a cave, and the back wall caves in, they have to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you prevent, here's a question for you. How do you kind of keep the players on a rail, even if they don't realize they're on a rail?
I progress the story. So here's a good example. Let's say a one shot starts out with your guild or your mercenary group or your kingdom has called you to talk to the king about, the princess being captured and being held by a bunch of goblins in the cave a mile away. He's going to tell you all the things. He's going to tell you the reward that you want. You guys are going to have banter, be like, well, we want more money. Okay, roll for persuasion, blah, blah, blah. You got it. Yeah, you're going to get double what you asked for. Great. All right. So what I do there is I don't let you guys stay in the castle. My next line is, oh, guys, yeah, you got to double the money. All right. So now the king, someone just whispered into his ear. He's starting to get up. The castle hall's getting kind of empty. There's a few guards around there. You guys start making your way out of the castle. I just say what you're doing because that's what's going to happen. I haven't
really noticed that.
It's very subtle.
It's subtle.
It's very
I'm
subtle.
I'm on the lookout now.
It's not a push so much as it is a nudge with that. And it's something that I don't know where I gained the skill. I don't know where it came from. I don't watch a lot of I watched maybe most of the third campaign, a little bit of first and second campaigns from Critical Role, but that doesn't inspire me to DM how I DM. I don't think I dungeon master how those guys dungeon master at all, because they're trying to leave room for people to have that voice acting to go out and kind of act and play a little bit. I want us to build a story more so. Yeah, it's gentle nudges where I will leave you guys. I'm kind of going through the thinking process now. I'll make it so that whatever area or what you're doing in becomes extraordinarily boring, and then I'll just say, and now you move on. That's really kind of my thought process. And that's just a gentle nudge. And let's say you've bought something from the blacksmith. I guess you'll get the deal, for buying buy my finest piece for half the price. All right, I guess, have a good day. The blacksmith then turns around. He goes back to tinging steel on his anvil with his hammer. He begrudgingly kind of shifts his shoulders up and faces his back towards you. It's starting to get, late afternoon. What do you guys do? And even me asking, what do you guys do? I've already set up the fact that nothing else is happening in there. So you guys just naturally kind of exit out of there.
That's like I've been led around by my nose sometimes.
I don't tell you where to go.
There in the bad way. That's really subtle. Like I don't think of now that you're saying it. I've noticed it for sure.
Yeah, it's such a subtle touch, and I'm only now kind of discovering that you've asked like how you go about doing that, and it's just I don't know, it just feels right, and it goes back to kind of like just reading books. I like. You can look at Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. That gets to a spot where it just kind of tones down, and you don't want to really read about. Every once in a while, definitely, like the hobbits are chilling in the Shire, but eventually you want to get the pace going again, and it's kind of the ebb and flow. Now, it depends on what kind of session we're doing, too. So I divide up my sessions as adventuring and exploring, role play, and combat. And I don't know if you've noticed, I just kind of alternate through those. Sometimes I'll double up every once in a while, but it's usually like, I need you to adventure, explore. I need you to go out and kind of find stuff, figure out what you want to do in the town or in the area that you're in. And then there are combat days where we're already in the dungeon, we're diving down, we're kind of going through a couple hordes, and now we're fighting, the hags at the end of the sea crested, cavern. And then you have your role play days, and that's where I really let you guys let loose. You guys, it might be just a travel day on an airship, but you guys get to like cook or make a bunch of stuff. That was a great role play. We're talking about one of our sessions that we've had. But those role play days, I really only make maybe like half a page of bullet points, and it's just to feed you guys enough. And I just let you guys develop the story on those days, and it helps me lead and guide you guys at the table so that you know what direction that you are naturally taking the story into, because I want you guys to feel like you're pushing the story narrative just as much as the world around you or / the dungeon master is also pushing the story. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I set it up. I have those three things. Cool. I do those three things. It's almost, if you go back and watch episodes, you'd be like, that episode was that episode was that episode was that, and they started again. But it's yet again subtle, right? But doesn't mean combat doesn't happen. In fact, I break out combat as a last resort. If it starts going off the rails into a way where I don't have something that I can improvise well enough where it might kind of disrupt or it might guide you guys in the wrong way that the story probably shouldn't go into, like, we want to monopolize the goat and cheese trade, which is like, okay, no. Oh, the goat and cheese trade bandits of this guild start attacking you, and now you're in combat. I'll break down that combat just so when that ends and session ends, now I can come back fresh and write a whole story about the goat and cheese trade. But that gives me that gap I need to do that writing so that you guys feel like the stories can actually develop in that way. And how can I apply that to the overarching? Because there's always something going on in the world. I don't like, it's not so much don't like, I don't usually lean into full sandbox where there isn't some overarching large mission or something that's going to be cataclysmic
or story.
There needs to be something that carries throughout the whole campaign, or at least halfway, and then there's a transition where it goes into another arc, and there are smaller arcs inside of that chapters. But yeah, that's how I do my writing. I don't know how other people write. I don't usually follow modules that much. Like I said, I just take the framework,
Mhm.
and I was just like, I can't believe I'm going to be a dungeon master and do my own thing. Like I just do, man. I don't know. It's weird that I fell into it so hard. It felt so natural. I don't like doing anything else really. I like.
You're definitely a good writer, I think, because like
Thank you.
a lot of the campaigns and situations and stories had really interesting twists and turns.
Yeah, like what?
Well, in the Sylph campaign, for example, we had the it was like the town magistrate or something. He ended up being like the gravity demon or
Okay.
whatever it was, and
Uh-huh.
like nobody saw that coming. I was like, holy shit! Like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And then talking about us taking too long and then you having to evict us. Didn't you burn down Neverwinter?
I destroyed Neverwinter with a million zombie horde that eventually turned into a massive city fire, and you barely escaped on an airship with
Was that because we spent a year in real time?
above table a year in one town? And I was like, this is ridiculous.
There's a lot to do. It's a big town.
I get it. You guys, that was such a crazy one because that was the first time I dungeon mastered. Remember, I told you guys, well, that's my first time I dungeon mastered a large campaign. I had done like little one shots and like little multi shot ones, but I was like, all right, guys, this is my first time doing a full campaign. And the story I had written up immediately got trashed because you guys wanted to go into the underground world of Neverwinter to the gladiator fighting ring, which I developed on the fly for you guys to have fun with. And you guys are just like, is there like a back alley place where like thieves and people are like, yeah, it's called Gloom's Beak. Okay. We're going to spend the next 7 months above table there. I have nothing. I was like, okay. There were thieves guilds that needed to be taken over. The blacks, the jades, the goldens, the silvers, and like all those colored they had the arena set up where the colored arenas were like matched up to each guild that was in there. And I made so much of that up like the week before going into it because it taught me a big lesson. Do not over prepare, overwrite. Do not over prepare, overwrite, because I had to designate different colored sections for the 7 or 8 different thieves guilds that all conglomerated under one massive underground world. And I had to create an NPC leader captain for each one. And I had none of that written when I did the first campaign. Penelope. And I had none of that written up. There was like the golden eagles. There was like the black zebras or black dragons. There was the jade hawks or something. I forget what it is. It's been a while since we played that.
Oh, so you burned down Neverwinter. Okay, so let me pull the curtain back a little bit. In the Mythfits campaign, was there a time where you burnt down the something to move us through that we didn't notice?
Oh man. Going back and thinking about it,
it never felt that way from my perspective, but I'm wondering if you had some subtle nudges for us that we didn't notice.
No, I think the only thing that happened, because I needed continuality with that, the only thing I had to do that was kind of off the rails is when a player wouldn't show up to the table, which happened a little bit more than I didn't want to happen. And it's just is what it is. When somebody would call out, I didn't want to continue the story without that player. Sometimes I could because it was a role play day, but it always happened on like the adventure and exploring day or a big combat day or a big lore drop day. That was, because I would drop a big piece of lore and I'm like, I really needed you in there for that because I want your reactions and all that stuff. The only thing that would happen was like I would fill in with like the Beastman bathhouse where you killed that goat.
That was a fantastic episode.
I made that one shot.
That was like probably top 3.
I made that fit in night before, I think I made that. Isn't that crazy?
That's insane. It was very like spirited away feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
But honestly, I think minimum it's 50% improvised. And I don't know any well-seasoned dungeon master that isn't 50% improvised with their campaigns. There's been times where it's been, 80-90% of it's improvised, and I just have one or two things I'm just trying to lead you guys towards, but you guys are just, I can't tell you where to go. I can subtly nudge you, but you brush that shit away and be like, no, we're doing this. Okay.
No, we're going to Gloomspeak.
There goes all that shit I wrote. And it's just, it is what it is. But I've really toned down my writing to where it's very specific things. The thing I write about the most when I write is setting. I love because it puts my players in the mindset of where they are and what time they're in, right? Because that's one thing I don't think a lot of dungeon masters talk about is if you homebrew a world, which I do, I love homebrewing worlds. The time of that homebrewed world really matters, because if you're doing something 1,000 years in the past versus 1,000 years in the future, it could be, but I think there should be changes. And whether or not some large cataclysm has hurt and it's kind of put people back in almost the Stone Age, or whether magic has gotten to the point where it's so advanced, there's just teleportation and flying cars, and you have, maybe you even have firearms that shoot magic or arcane energy, whatever level you want to set it to. If you play, and this is what I'm doing, I stick to Orensil now. I love my world. It has so many different sections in it. And I can play in any time period I want. And I can't wait till you guys get to play in the new time period that you're in. There's going to be some cool changes. That's one thing that has to happen when you write, is those time periods need to change, because it
needs a history.
It needs a history. Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah.
Man, I love the idea of a future where it's like turns into fantasy, but it started in like our modern real world. There was a show, I don't remember what it was. There was a show, but it was like, the nuclear apocalypse, or like zombie or like virus apocalypse, or some sort of cataclysm happened, and like the society fell apart and most of humanity vanished, and then like there were like elves and humans and orcs, and kind of just evolved from the remnants of humanity.
Bright? Was it Bright?
No. Bright was like with the Will Smith.
I'm sorry. I daydreamed for a second while you were talking about it, and then that popped in my head. But sorry.
No, it wasn't Bright. But it was a show. I don't remember what platform it was on. It was a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really cool, and like the characters, they're like doing this adventure, and there's some like magic, but like they come across like ancient buried places, and it's like a supermarket. Like we can recognize it, but it's like thousands of years old to them.
Right. So do you like dark fantasy movies?
Yeah.
Why do you think they just aren't ever out? Like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie like Excalibur.
Yeah, absolutely. The original one with the guy with the shiny head.
Even like Dark Crystal, The Labyrinth, those kind of shows. And you could take like Kroll or Beastmaster or Flash Gordon. I don't know what it is. I really love those movies, and there's so few of them.
There isn't a lot, and
they're all huge. The cult following for
cult following, not released. When they were released, they were crap.
Make it for the cult following, then. I don't.
It's too much of a risk in my opinion.
It's just such a weird thing, because you look at almost any other movie from that same year it came out, I can almost guarantee you that dark fantasy movie is in the top 5 still watched today.
100%. It's a miracle that New Line approved Lord of the Rings to give this director that like did some splatter horror movies in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Give him all this money to make this vision happen. The fact that that happened is amazing, and I'm a huge fan of those movies.
I love those movies, and I'm not saying anything bad when I say this. I just don't consider them so much dark fantasy.
Yeah,
they're a little bit more just normal fantasy, which I still love. I love fantasy movies. There's not enough of them.
What's your how do you differentiate between dark fantasy and normal fantasy movies?
I think if you look back at movies that are dark fantasy, and I consider like Neverending Story a dark fantasy, right? Willow's a great one.
I love Willow.
There is a disparity about them from the beginning, and there's a certain art style that I think when I watch that, however the writing and editing is done, I get almost this melancholy kind of feel when I watch it. But it's a joy to watch that though. Because when you watch, let's take Willow. When we watch Willow, everything's like muddy. Everything is dark and dreary. But then you watch something like Lord of the Rings, and it's a bright Shire, and you're seeing the elves in Rivendell, and it's all nice and happy. I don't think you really see any of those kind of nicer aspects of fantasy. And so maybe, and I'm trying to find it now that you asked that, because that's a really good question. When I look at a dark fantasy, it everything appears, majority wise, it appears more on the darker, more depressing, melancholy side of things, rather than like the beautiful or
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like if we would take like our history, right? It would be like, and just because I'm familiar with the Western history, but like the Greek, the height of the ancient Greece or ancient Rome versus like the Dark Ages and during like the plagues and stuff like that. Is that what you mean? Like,
yeah, I think suffering of people, and not to get too gruesome, it just is what it is. You kind of see this overarching suffering of people, these people that are kind of barely getting by. But then another thing you'll see, like, it's not so much suffering. It's just there's a bad guy over here, and they're preventing him in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. They're preventing him from expanding on that evil.
Okay.
And I think dark fantasy, the evil has already expanded, and they're trying to get rid of him after the expansion of that evil. I think that fits, right?
That fits. That makes sense.
Because let's look at the Never-Ending Story. Have you seen that before?
Long ago, but yes.
There's this entity, this
nothing or whatever.
The nothingness, right? It's already expanded, and by the end, it's basically taken over. They've already lost, but it's through this boy's imagination that they kind of bring everything back. And so there's this overarching darkness to the whole thing, and I really think dark fantasy, that's how it kind of plays into it. Good question, man. What defines a good dark fantasy? I don't get why. I keep asking it, but I would really love to see some true dark fantasies. I also would like to see more movies with dragons in them. I don't know why. I love dragons and dragon lore. I love the Inheritance series. It's definitely like YA. It's like a young adult book. And, I think it came out when I was 13, 14 years old, but I really liked a good Dragon Rider book. And maybe it does have its basis in like Star Wars and just that hero's tale. I mean, it's just a classic hero's tale.
Okay, here's I don't know if this is a popular belief or not. My belief: Star Wars is not a sci-fi.
It's a space opera.
It's a space fantasy.
Space fantasy, space opera. Yeah, it's
And I love Star Wars. I'm not dissing on Star Wars.
Same, buddy. I got Star Wars tattoos.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah, man. I mark my body.
I played an Ewok in a Star Wars 5e.
Empire Strikes Back has influenced me in how I can portray how stories can develop in my writing so much that the fact that they don't have to end well. Things can end bad. I love that. It's not played into enough. It's why I like a lot of anime now, because animes, I'm trying to just think of a good one right now, like Demon Slayer. I don't
Mhm.
know if you like that one or not.
Big fan of Demon Slayer.
Everybody dies, bro. I mean, not everybody. I'm
Oh,
not
spoiler alert.
I'm not spoiling anything. And seriously, not everybody
I've watched
dies.
everything up to the train one, the train movie.
Okay, you
So
got.
I watched like the first couple of seasons.
Oh, great Googly,
and then the
you need
train.
To I saw.
And then I didn't really watch anything after that.
I saw the movie, the most recent, the Infinity Castle, the day it came out. I went to the Alamo. I sat there. Oh my god, it was amazing. Alamo's is ridiculous, amazing theater. They bring you like flavored popcorn. You're in a recliner, and like they have pizza.
You can press a button and
press a button to get a server to come out. Oh, it's amazing. Awesome. Anyways, the so many people die in that. I think, and this is where I actually I did a TikTok live with somebody yesterday. They don't like killing players, and I was just like, really? I don't mind at all if it fits the narrative. Example: when you guys felt that, we'll go back to it, that gravity demon.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, that was, I'm not even joking, that was the name of the ranger. There's like a dark star. There's almost like a black hole. He got sucked into it. He rolled high enough to get out. The bad evil guy is on death's door. He tries to get away. He pops off an arrow, but he does like minimal damage. The guy still doesn't die. He would have known. The bad guy turned around and pushed him back in, and Kevin was disintegrated. Poor Kevin.
No.
Oh my god.
But that was good roleplay that came out of that, because it's, if nothing interesting happens, nothing interesting will progress.
Right.
Like, the story is just, it's not going to go anywhere. Like Kevin met his demise, but we had so much roleplay and remembering Kevin, and we had a funeral and a speech, and Silk carried Kevin's ashes for some dumb reason. And the player, they came in as a new character. And then we met, and we always would tell the new character about how we miss Kevin. Sorry, you're the new guy, but man, you should have met Kevin. He was awesome.
Yeah, I'll set up a fireball trap for you guys. I don't care.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I've done that before. You guys have set up some traps to be like, I have 2 HP now. I'll be like, yeah, you should have checked for traps. How do you think I'm doing? Do you like
Simon has his magical stick?
Save it. I'm really looking forward.
We'll cut that part out.
No, we're keeping everything in. This has been a wonderful conversation.
It has.
I cannot wait until we get to do this next part, and I can't wait to talk to you guys and introduce the mechanics of doing a real reality style like D&D.
That's going to be. I'm excited that
I'm nervous.
The inner monologue parts, and just the fourth wall breaking sometimes. Just so much opportunity for.
Well, can I talk about like just the process of the idea that came to be?
Yes.
And tell me if you like it so far. So we did a D&D campaign, and we thought that doing an evil D&D campaign would project to the masses enough where they would like it. 2 things. One, we did what every other D&D playthrough kind of did. We sat at the table and just played D&D, even though it was an evil campaign. 2, we had Mythbusters take our name. Not take it, but they had the same name 6 weeks after we started. And so we got hit.
And they had millions of established.
And so when we're developing this new studio, Wits and Crits, we're really trying to figure out how can we introduce a new way of doing Dungeons and Dragons to get people to watch us, to build an entertainment company, because this is a company. Like, we own a company doing this, but then also make it super fun for us to do too. Because there are some ideas that got thrown around that we're just like, absolutely not. But there's something to be said about the reality, especially in the United States, the reality format of the Floating Head Confessionals. Mm-hmm. And so now we're doing it more as a show and not as a live stream. that was the thing we had to talk about, was we're moving away from doing a live so much. We're doing live premieres where, we'll still be there, and that way we can engage with people watching it, but we're making a show now.
I think it gives a lot more creative freedom is one way of saying it. But that's not really the word. It's more of, I guess, ability to tell the story in a more concise manner, so to speak.
Because honestly, what happens as soon as you get done with a session? You end up talking with everybody about it, what you liked, you didn't like. I got nervous here, I did that,
and that's a fun part. That's a part that we even talked about, like doing like a TikTok live or something, right?
Yeah. Now we're just going to implement that same element directly into what we're doing here. I love that part, man.
I'm really excited
with a twist. I don't want to spoil the twist. I can't wait till we really get to say what we're going to say for it. But I'm been super inspired, and I think the type of campaign that we're going to have fits so well into what we're going to try to do. And I'm really excited. I keep saying it, but I am. Yeah.
So, do we have a time schedule? Time frame?
Summer 2026. This summer. Probably end of July, early August, and we'll drop some dates as soon as we kind of get it nailed down. Everybody's doing vacations right now because it's around just before the 4th, just after the 4th. We're all going and doing vacations, and then, as you can see, we're getting stuff hung up for the studio. Now we're trying to get some of the walls more decorated. I hope you guys like it if you guys are watching this. But yeah, I'm really pumped. I think. And this was a good conversation.
I think so too. This was great. How long have we been yapping?
I don't know.
It is midnight, sir.
It's midnight?
Cool. It is midnight. We've been yapping for hours.
I love it. I love you, and I can't wait to do this.
I love you too, buddy. This is awesome.
All right, let's cut it. Let's cut it here. And check us out, Wits and Crits this summer for actual live. Plug your AI thing.
Questquill.ai.
Yeah. If you need
for sure. Yeah. Sign up. I'll give you some hours, and we'll hopefully get some new feedback.
Awesome. All right. Bye guys.